Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, aka Call Me What You Want, Just Don't Call Me Lazy, aka One Marcus Flowers on all social media platforms, and I am here for the first part of a special edition Daily Planet review, and we are talking about all things Captain Marvel. So if you haven't known, Captain Marvel Disney Marvel, they dropped the second trailer for Captain Marvel earlier this week. I will be having Morgan on shortly after to talk about that. But as for right now, I'm going to be discussing the first issue of the 2019 Captain Marvel, issue number one. Captain Marvel 2009, issue number one, and it is written by Kellly Thompson. You may have known her from such titles as A-Force, America, Boom Boom Mixtape, Captain Marvel and the Carol Courts, Ghostbusters, and X-Men Generations. And it is illustrated by Carmen Carnero, who has illustrated X-Men Red, The Punisher, as well as the end of as well as X Factor, as well. So let me just read the synopsis or the summary. Uh, all the stars align as Kellly Thompson and Carmen Carnero take on Marvel's premier female superhero. As Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers has spent months in space protecting Earth from alien threats big and small, but now it's time for Earth's mightiest hero to come home. New York City has never looked so good, but every re-entry comes with the unexpected, and Carol is about to hit a whole lot of unexpected. It's a fresh start and an oversized, star-studded welcome home for a hero who's been punching the glass ceiling since the 1970s, and just in time for the first female-led film from Marvel Studios. The next 50 years of Captain Marvel starts here. And as I said earlier, it was written by Kellly Thompson with art by Cameron Carnero, and it was illustrated by Tamara Bonnie. And I apologize if I got that name wrong. But so the first issue of Captain Marvel, it just seemed a little bit all over the place. A few spoilers. She does run into James Rhodes, and if you remember, the last time those two interacted was during, I believe, issue one of Civil War II, and Marvel has done a great job of trying to make Carol Danvers a star-studded figure in the Marvel comics, but Civil War II kind of put a bad. Just myself personally, in my opinion, Carol came out of Civil War II very damaged. I just feel like her credibility as a superhero it just wasn't there. And Kellly Thompson, who is an excellent writer, she started the rehabilitation with Carol Danvers and Carol Corpse, and of course Captain Marvel when she was back on Earth and undercover, or she was undercover. Jessica Jones was undercover. But I could be mixing my titles up. My mistake about that. But this the first issue was a pretty decent, solid first issue for Captain Marvel. I didn't come into the issue expecting a lot, but I'm glad I got what I got from the issue. Nuclear Man, who was the villain. Spoiler alert: Nuclear Man was a villain of the story so far of this first arc, and it's very interesting to see how it's made very clear that Captain Marvel is on a higher level than the rest of the Avengers. So Tony, Cap, Thor, even James Rose, who the two of them had a funny back and forth about his new nickname. Uh, it's very clear and very Thompson makes it very evident that Carol Danvers is on a different level, a higher level than the rest of the Avengers. So it's going to be interesting where they take it from there. The cliffhanger for at the end of the issue is very intriguing. I'm very intrigued about where this is going. I do recommend this. You can pick it up at your local comic book shop or Comixology. Yeah, that's about it. Make sure it is Captain Marvel #1. Yeah, that's about it. And I will be right back with Morgan, and we are going to discuss trailer #2 of Captain Marvel. So hang tight.
Yo, everybody, it's Morgan. I'm here for the second half of this podcast here to talk about the Miss Marvel trailer. Marcus, you saw the trailer as well, right?
Yes, I did. I actually just rewatched it before we got on to record just to refresh my memory. It was only about a minute and 30 seconds, but I still wanted to make sure that I was able to critique it right before we got on to review. So, how was your first thoughts about it?
I didn't. It seemed like more of what we've already seen, and at this point, like I know they don't want to sell too much of the movie, but it seems like more of what we've seen, and I'm just like, is there more to this movie than what you're showing us? Because if there isn't, what I'm seeing is a lot of like phase two, Thor Dark World, Iron Man 2 level
Wow,
stuff.
wow! You're saying it's going to be Thor: Dark World, bad?
I paid money to go to the movies to see Thor Dark World. So if anyone has the grounds to say this looks like that level, because it looks like that level of just like it is not even that it's gonna be bad, it's just that it's gonna be like bland, like just like we're in like phase, what is this, phase three now? We like after the Black Panther origin story where they finally gave us competent villain, after Infinity War where they gave us a really great narrative and a really great villain that brought it all together. You want to go back to that? You want to go back to Iron Man 3, Iron Man 2, Thor
See,
Dark
I just,
World?
but just for a rebuttal, I believe that they're not going back in it's like in phases. They are going in a completely different direction. This will be, well, I guess we still have, well, this will be, we have Captain America First Avenger, but this will be the only Marvel movie of this phase. And I guess you could say phase 2. I could be mistaken, but this is the only movie of this phase that takes place not in current time. And so I do believe Captain Marvel, seeing Captain Marvel in the 90s with the scrolls, that will set up phase 4 and phase 5 and even phase 6 of the MCU, which we have Secret Invasion. When, if you haven't read the comics, it's when the scrolls come to Earth and they replace basically they replace superheroes and supervillains, and it's a whole thing.
And I get that. I'm just saying, like, I'm talking about the quality of like storytelling, the quality of the movie. Like, it's looking like the same level as like Doctor Strange. I'm just like,
Well,
we
I,
know
I
you can
think
do
I
better.
think Doctor Strange was a pretty good story though.
Doctor Strange was good, but it was still, it felt Doctor Strange to me felt like something I expected. I went in there, I said, this is a Marvel movie, it's going to be good, and I came out and I said it was good. It had one thing I liked, one thing I thought was okay, and it didn't have too many mistakes. But for me, I feel like we've elevated against that. I feel like we've gone up a couple steps. I feel like we're above going into the movie theater and saying, gonna see a Marvel movie. It's gonna have one thing I love, one thing I think is okay, and then it's not gonna have too many mistakes. Like I feel like you have movies like Black Panther where people might have had problems with like certain aspects of it, but it had a lot of good points. It didn't have too many like middle level points. And you have things like Infinity War, where it was like the story was like a really good point. It had great animation, it had great like moments, and it didn't have too many like niggles. Yeah, it was too long, but like nobody like felt there were too many problems. Like I feel like we've elevated above this to just sit in the movie theater. Like I just, for me, when you say we're going to see a Marvel movie now, I can't sit in a theater and say, okay, this is about to be average, but it's gonna be fun while lasting. Like I don't want to go back to that if I'm making sense there.
Well, I see what you're saying, but I just think I believe that this story will be good. It will be interesting, and just to like rebuttal to you again, I don't think Infinity War had a strong story. I don't think Black Panther had a strong story. So that's just I just think just because like our personalities are different, I just feel like those two movies felt extremely bloated and extremely long for no reason. But I feel like Captain Marvel will get I don't want to say right to the point because that's not how a Marvel movie goes. But I feel like the story of Captain Marvel will be more rapid pace. We won't have to like because I still feel like Marvel claims to be like the the movie company that doesn't hold your hand. But I still felt like with Black Panther they held our hands. With Infinity War they held our hands. They held our hands. I just feel like with Captain Marvel they are not going to hold our hands. But let me so that is just completely off base. Let's talk about the actual trailer real quick. So I really enjoyed the trailer. The de aging technology that they are using at Marvel is just remarkable. We have young Samuel L. Jackson, or we have a young Nick Fury. We have a young Agent Coulson, which I am looking forward to. Also, I am looking forward to seeing the Kree and the Scrolls as well. But real quick, Morgan, if out of any of the characters in Captain Marvel that we have seen so far, who do you think would have been replaced by a scroll? Scroll.
There when Nick Fury's there. So I would say anyone in Shield. Shield always has shady stuff going on, and they don't for a spy agency. You don't watch their back that much. So anyone in Shield is up for game. Black Widow's up for game.
But remember, this is the '90s, so I don't think Natasha will be in it. I'm just saying, out of the so I will say that I think, and I've always believed for like the past few years that the scroll would have been Nick Fury. I thought Fury was replaced in Winter Soldier, actually, but I can't see how they would replace him in the '90s and just have him like a sleeper cell or something of that nature.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting to see how they play this storyline and what sort of things they put in there. But I think another elephant in the room, people, we need to ask ourselves is, of course, the Wonder Woman, big elephant in the room, because of course everybody's gonna automatically think, will this movie reach the heights of both, just hitting the critical mass of Wonder Woman and also like being able to empower young females like Wonder Woman did. Like I've always believed that if Marvel ever was to push like a Wonder Woman character ever was to push a feminine icon, Captain Marvel would be their go-to. That'd be the one they'd have to go to. That's the biggest female Marvel character in the world. Do you think this movie, because that's what they're sort of pushing it as, they keep using that her into hero like things in every single movie. Do you think this movie will be able to live up to that? Do you think it will be able to live up to Wonder Woman?
I will say I don't think it's going to make as much money as Wonder Woman just because Wonder Woman is one of the top five most recognized superheroes in the world. But I do believe that it still will have a strong impact. And one thing about what Marvel does great is they are great with timing and placement. So Captain Marvel releases in March, and I believe it releases March. I think it's March 5th. I don't want to get but I know it releases in March, which is Women's History Month. So of course, and they dropped the first trailer on the anniversary of the Air Force, and that was real. The timing was real there because Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, was in the Air Force, and this is also 2019 will be 50 years since Carol Danvers made her first comic appearance. So it's all about timing, but I do feel like it will have an impact. There's actually a GoFundMe with Frederick T. Joseph. He is a actor slash activist slash writer slash philanthropist, and he is raising money to take young women to see Captain Marvel. So I believe that impact on young women is already there. It will be heightened, and I believe that it's going to be word of mouth that spreads it even farther. That says, "Hey, this movie was great. Go see it." And
Yeah,
yeah,
I definitely am interested to see how they play that card, just because one thing you have to give props to DC for is that they've never been, because they are the underdog. They're not as scared.
see, but DC has never been the underdog.
Well, they're not making as much money. That makes them the underdog. They're not making as much money, and they've had several bad movies.
That doesn't make them the underdog. They've been making like movies since like the 80s. So I'm
I
not
mean,
gonna
but
sit here and
Marvel's been
say
making,
DC
like,
is
we
the
can't stay here and act like, oh, DC's been making movies since the 80s.
no
Like,
no
Marvel's been making
but the
movies the same amount of
difference.
time. It's just up until the first Iron Man, nobody actually cared about superhero movies.
See, but no, see that's where you're wrong because Marvel Studios wasn't created until Iron Man 1. No, until the Incredible Hulk in like 2006. That was the no, it wasn't. No, it was Iron Man in 2008. That was the launch of
But
Marvel
they still made
Studios.
the Incredible Hulk movie. There still were X-Men movies before that.
Okay,
And
but
there still
they're
were TV
different
shows and stuff like that. Like, you can't just be out here like, oh, they
Okay,
just came
but
out. Like, they were making movies. They might not have been calling
no,
themselves
but
Marvel
Morgan,
Studios,
you're
but they were out there making content.
no, but Morgan, you're wrong because it wasn't Marvel didn't have creative control over their movies. It was X-Men is under Fox. Okay, and the Incredible Hulk was under Universal. The Fantastic Four was under Universal. The X-Men comic, that Spider-Man comic from the 90s, those were also both under Fox. So Marvel didn't have creative control of their certain silver screen content until Iron Man 1 in 2008. So, yes, you can say that DC isn't an underdog because they've never had to worry about other studios using their content in a way that they don't approve. If anything, DC has shot themselves in the foot with just taking their foot off the gas and thinking everything was going to be okay and discounting Marvel, and if anything, Marvel would be the
Oh,
underdog.
I'm never
But
gonna count.
enough.
Marvel is owned by Disney. If you're calling Marvel an underdog, you've never met an underdog.
No,
Marvel
but
is
okay,
backed by
but Marvel
Disney. You
was
can't call them an underdog when you're backed by one of the largest media companies in the world. If that is an underdog, then I'm the most privileged person to ever be born in the world right now.
okay, but Disney didn't buy Marvel until like
That is
2011, and until Phase Two.
no,
So
no.
yes,
Disney is
yes,
definitely
that's
owned Marvel longer than that. Let me see.
no. Okay, but anyway, we're not talking about this. Anyway, Captain Marvel. Final thoughts.
It will be interesting, but to me, it looks a bit generic.
Okay, I think it's going to be a great film. I think it's going to be great for women. It's going to be great for Marvel. It's going to be a great kickoff superhero. I believe it's our first superhero movie of 2019. So it'll set the bar very high. Once again, thank you for listening. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you are following us on Twitter at 26NG. Follow us on Instagram at 26NGlencoe. Like our Facebook page at 26NGlencoe Media Network. Follow us on YouTube at 26NGlencoe Media Network. Follow me on social media at One Marcus Flowers. Follow Morgan on social media at MetroMeta26. And then until next time, peace.